Hey, what's up, guys? This video is about NPP, nandrolone phenylpropionate, and it's something I've run now for a few months, and I just want to throw out there my experience with it because I think there's a few misconceptions on it, well, with nandrolone in general, and I want to potentially clear that up. But again, this is based on my experience. Everybody might have different experience with it, and I would love to hear yours if you've ever run NPP. And I just put another order in for a few more vials today because I'm kind of hooked on it in a way. And just nandrolone in general, it's a very beautiful compound, but it is one that I think has got a bit of a bad rap in some ways. The major one is that it bloats you up, the water retention, and maybe Deca does do that. I don't know. Like, to be honest, both NPP and Deca are kind of both nandrolones. They're both nandrolones, right? One is a longer ester. The decanate one is. NPP is a shorter ester. I prefer to run the shorter esters. That's why I chose it as well, alongside a test base 300 and Masteron 300 to keep the estrogenic effects in check. Specifically gyno. I don't want that shit. I don't want man boobs and fucking hard nips and things like that. But does it cause bloating and things? That's the major concern I've heard that people avoid it. A lot of people will, I think, gravitate towards Tren. And Tren, I've never run Tren. Can't I know it's the fucking king steroid compound, but there's a lot of fucking shit that I've heard, like a whole, like, you spin a wheel, it's like, what side effect am I gonna get? And a lot of it is like night sweats and feeling like shit and whatever else. Nandrolone, I don't think has that. I had the complete opposite. I felt amazing on this last cycle, but my focus on this is does it bloat you up? And I had the complete opposite. I feel like I dried out. Now, I think a lot of that has to do with the Masteron I was running and not too high of dose of testosterone. If I ran tests higher, I could have got some more bloating and things like that. But I ran a very low dose, 150 a week, 200, between 150 and 200. I kind of sometimes went higher, sometimes went lower. But then when I did push it up to around 300 plus, I did notice not bloating, but some other undesirable side effects. So I brought it back down, and since then it's been amazing. And it's something that I feel like I'm going to continue running, even in my cruise cycle, of all things, okay? A lot of people might be like, you should really just cut back on everything. Just cut down to a TRT dose, nothing but testosterone, maybe HGH, a few IUs a day, and just cut out everything else. Well, I'm thinking about continuing running nandrolone a little bit on a lower dose side of things. But okay, to get back to the whole point of this video, does it bloat you out? No. I had the complete opposite. I actually cut weight, and a lot of the weight I did cut was I believe water retention weight, but as well straight fat around my midsection and things like that. But meanwhile, gaining strength and size and 3D effects, like my biceps, my deltoids, my forearm, everything, my calves, everything just popping out a lot better, okay? And feeling amazing. Now, a lot of people who have misconceptions about nandrolones, and nandrolone is part of the NOR19 class of steroids, but a lot of people think that it might cause something like Decadic, which potentially it could if you ran it in the wrong ratios, okay? That's why I highly recommend, which I did, I think I found the perfect balance for a low to moderate dose. I know people are like, what you're running isn't a low dose steroid cycle. I get that, because it's not like a TRT dose. Like, I'm running TRT plus HRT dose, and with everything combined, so 300 tests, 300 Masteron, and 150 NPP, that's like, 750, pushing 800 milligrams a week. Like, that's not a low dose, right? By any means. But what I did notice, again, was strength and size gains, major cut. So I call this the recomp cycle before my previous videos. Okay, and but also what I noticed was very great psychological benefits. Okay, from this, and it's just based on the ratio of everything I took. So some of it might have been from the testosterone, some of it might have been from the masteron, but I believe the nandrolone, the NPP, was one that worked well, and I highly recommend NPP over DECA because DECA is a longer ester and it takes a little bit longer to kick in and a little bit longer to clear. So if you did by any, especially if you're a newbie to nandrolone, if you did push it a little too high and you start getting negative side effects, it's going to take like maybe a few weeks for that to subside, right? Meanwhile, NPP, first of all, the effects of it kicked in within 2 weeks, I noticed. And if you, when I did push it a little too high, feeling a bit fucking paranoid and a bit weird on things, I brought it back down and I was totally fine again within a week. Okay, so that is a great thing. Now, I should just lay out the whole process of my taking steroids in general. Okay, so it started around Christmas time when I started taking testosterone, and I did, and I was a bit bloated at the time and a bit puffy and a bit fucking fat, to be honest. You know, I still have a little extra fat that I'd love to lose as well, but at the time, more so. And I ran testosterone and Primobolan at 400 and 400. And then I added the Anavar. And by the time I ran the Anavar, like, I noticed very great effects, okay? And then I brought all that down a little bit, and then I started this new cycle, kind of mixed it, you know, like a DJ mixes, like, you don't just, like, go from hard one song to another. It's like, kind of mix in between for a few weeks, and then I ran the next cycle, okay? Which is adding first I added masteron, and then I added the nandrolone, okay? And very quickly, within 2 weeks, I was like, damn, this is fucking working amazing. Now, both the masteron and nandrolone was from a new source, so part of me suspects that the new source is very great, and I just ordered more of both today. But the testosterone as well, maybe the measurements of whatever this underground lab is doing, might be different from the last one. Maybe the last one was a bit underdosed, and this one might be overdosed, or, you know, you never know, right? I did test it, though. I tested it as real. Okay, you can buy test kits online, storytestkits.com or some bullshit. Yeah. But to get back to the whole point of this video, running nandrolone on top of a test base, you know, so you don't need to run a high test base when you add something nandrolone, okay? You don't need to be running 500 plus milligrams a week of tests then you add another 200 or 300 nandrolone. I don't know. I think I would go insane on that, okay? So you got to work within your limits and work within limits that are like effective. Like, you can get very effective steroid doses on running smaller amounts, okay? So especially when you're new to the game, okay? So 300 tests, 150 to 200 nandrolone, boom, amazing. That in itself, but then adding something like masteron, I would run masteron over. You could run a Primobolan, but I believe masteron is more ideal because I think it has a little bit more sharper effects on the testosterone conversion to estrogen, so it mitigates that a little bit better. And masteron in itself has a bit of a desirable effect as well. Masteron is also very anabolic. I think it has a bit of a misconception that it's not totally anabolic. It is, but it's very low androgenic. Not the most anabolic compared to something like running running an oral steroid like oxandrolone or Anavar or something like that. Okay, but you can run it for longer and is very safe. I think the effects it might have, maybe if you're on high doses of it for a long time on LDL, might be a bit bad. And of course, like any steroid, if you run at high doses, it might affect your blood pressure, and you might get left ventricular hypertrophy over time. Okay, but for a newbie cycle, which I think a lot of people who are listening to this are want to get and take it up a notch. Maybe you're taking TRT, maybe you're taking some other steroids, but let's find a good ratio that work for me. And this is it, adding that NPP at that 150 to 200 a week. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful compound. You will see great effects. My joint effects are great. I've been a skater since I'm 40 years old now. I've been skateboarding since I was 12 years old, like doing kickflips downstairs and shit, fucking my knees and ankles up and everything up. All that's working beautifully. And muscle fullness, whatever it's doing to my muscles, maybe that is part of the wetness, quote, but wetness in the right places. It's bloating the muscles up. And everything else. Now, the last component to add to this is the Cialis, which again I just got a fat paycheck, so I ordered HGH, not testosterone, masteron, NPP, and Cialis. Cialis in 5 milligram tablets, not the ones that are like boner pills, which are like 20. You don't want to do those. That's overkill. You do daily tablets of 5 milligrams, and I believe on the dosage that I found of all the other steroids, adding that 5 milligrams of Cialis just makes it, ties it all together, works beautifully. Something about it is great. You know, I'm going to look more into it because maybe there are potential negative side effects of taking Cialis long term. I'm not totally against the fact that there might be some negative side effect there. For example, I did get heartburn. I did at times like literally spitting up, like felt like acid in a way, like heartburn. But keeping the blood pressure in check, getting the blood flow of the muscles. Today I did a back and bicep day and was just in the mirror like repping like concentration curls and shit, and it was just like my biceps were just fucking felt like they were jacked more than ever. And overall well-being, Cialis can have an effect on psychological well-being. And you walk around with fucking chubs all day, pretty much. I'm just gonna say, like, in that sense, it's almost a bad thing because, like, literally it wakes me up in the morning, and from 4 to 7 o'clock in the morning, I have a constant erection, and it just keeps me awake. You know, it's kind of brutal sometimes, and that's on a microdosing it. But that's not a bad thing too, because I believe like by the time it came nighttime and I was with my girl tonight, it worked pretty good. I'll just leave it there. So, and it's not like I need help there, but I think somebody who's in a bodybuilding routine, taking Cialis on that stack, especially with nandrolone and things, first of all, it'll counter any potential of the Deca-Dick. I don't think you'll have that if you are doing it, but if you're concerned about that, it's definitely not going to be an issue if you run a little Cialis on top of that, okay? So I think Deca-Dick is more when you just don't have the ratios right. That's all it's about, ratios, but between different compounds, because there's a synergistic effect that happens between compounds, and there's also potential detrimental effects when you don't have things right. That's why, like, people who used to run back in the day, like orals, like Diana D-ball and things like that, that would throw the ratios of estrogen all out of whack and things, and it didn't work out well. Well, now we know in modern day pharmacology, in this field, you run a test base. You don't need to run tests too high. Major misconception a lot of people run. You don't need to run it super high. Depends, everybody's different, and it depends on what level of bodybuilding you're at, but 300 seems to work pretty damn good. 300 to 400, you get that base down. Now match that with Masteron, okay? Done. Add a little bit of nandrolone. You'll be surprised what that fucking stack does. I promise you. Anybody who's getting into this will figure that. But then, okay, you might get negative blood pressure side effects and everything. Well, that's where the Cialis comes in. Okay, so I think based on that, and Cialis also helps with the vasodilation, like my veins just popping out of my forearms now. Like it's nothing too crazy, but it's a lot more than it was before. Okay, so the blood's flowing through the body a lot better than before, where probably the veins were a lot more restricted, and that was causing higher blood pressure. So I'll leave it there, guys. What are your thoughts on this? I'd love to hear all of your experiences on nandrolone or NPP, especially. Beautiful compound. I think it's my go. It's like the one the third compound I'm gonna run. So first is mastron or testosterone. Okay, base, always. Now on, probably the rest of my life, I'm gonna run testosterone. Every other day, I'm gonna inject testosterone in my ass. Second is mastron, and depending on how much tests I'm running, I'm gonna run mass to make sure that estrogen's in effect, because I don't want to run an AI at all, ever. Unless I was running super high doses of testosterone, but I might even want to go there. And then once that's in check, then you just add half of what you're ever running of NPP. So for me, 300, 300, 150. So that's, and 150 is half of 300. So run half NPP, and then add that 5 milligrams of Cialis. Let me know how that goes. I kind of just stumbled upon this all myself, and it has worked beautifully. I'm almost tempted to run this year round. Almost, I shouldn't. I should probably cut back a little bit, but it's just that great. I'm telling you guys. Leave in the comments section below what you think about that. Am I wrong? Am I right? Have you experienced it? Let me know, because I'm not here to claim that I know everything. I can know it all, but it's just based on my experience, and my experience is ping, works great. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.